team every year or 2 years or however long it is. You might pick one team and stick with it.
There are some blokes that do that. Rest assured, there are some blokes that do that.
Is it Joe Lewis, the Spurs owner?
Yeah, the Bahamas, the guy that's got his money in the Bahamas.
He got a lot of money. Like, he lost a lot in the credit crunch.
Well, who hasn't? I mean, that's West Ham's big problem, isn't it? Now with the Icelandic bankers all doing their conquests.
But he did buy. He bought like a British pub chain. So apparently now he owns not just a pub, but a pub team as well.
Hey! Goodness gracious me. They keep on coming, ladies and gentlemen. Go on, we've still got 25 minutes to go. Don't peak too early, chaps and chapesses. Darren Bent, a.k.a. Darren Spent. You see what Carly in London's done there. Waste of money discussed. Alex, would you take him on loan at Fulham, or are you happy with your strikers? Speaking of Fulham strikers, what's happened to Andy Johnson?
Well, he started off the season injured, or at least when we signed him, he was injured. He then unfortunately got sent off against West Ham, had a bit of an altercation with Lucas Neal. He played the last game against Sunderland, wasn't so great, but obviously it's going to take a couple of games to actually get back. I think all Fulham fans are hopeful that he'll strike up some sort of partnership with Zamora, and who knows where that could lead to. I mean, the thing is, with Andy Johnson, you know what you get. He's out and out, down the middle, puts the ball in the back of the net if you give him the chance, and really, as long as he's getting the supply, there's no reason why he shouldn't do a job.
Lost a yard of pace?
To be honest, I mean, it's really too early to say, because no one's really seen enough of him.
It's a trick, isn't it, with players who can still be great players once they've lost a bit of pace. The classic example, Teddy Sheringham, said the reason why he lasted so long, he's never had pace in the first place. John Terry is paceless. I mean, and seemingly always carrying knocks. He manages to come through.
Sure. I totally agree. I mean, obviously, you think of the strikers that, as a youngster, they really looked like they were going to be the part because they were so fast, and then maybe they have lost that yard of pace. But then you can look at someone like Michael Owen, who I still think he's very quick still, but he's actually managed to mature his game in other ways. I mean, considering his height, I mean,
whenever he's fit, though, the bloke's only fit 1 week in 6 probably over the period.
But I think that his goal scoring record, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It is great, but I think it speaks for itself even more that no big club are prepared to take a chance on him when he has got that goal scoring record.
I heard the other day that he was actually down in London, and whether or not that's linking him with Spurs or West Ham or one of those teams, I don't know whether or not that's true. But so
I love
who knows?
They're my favourite kind of football rumours. I saw such and such arriving at such and such an airport. It was all fantastic, brilliant. Pascal Murphy having a go at you, I'm afraid, Martha.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm prepared to stand up for you, but I think you might have a point. Jamie O'Hara, he says, is the only player giving 100%. What's Martha on about? And Bentley was class the last 2 years. He'll come good eventually, I hope. The trouble with David Bentley is I think the attitude is wrong, and that's Spurs' big problem. It's always been their problem. They're all Charlie Big Potatoes. They won the League Cup. I mean, this is what I don't get about footballers. They win the League Cup. It's a Mickey Mouse competition. I mean, it really is a joke of a competition. It means nothing. They win the League Cup and they went out on the piss for a week afterwards, and this is why there's still a third of the season still to play. You look at Tottenham's form after the League Cup final success, and it was an absolute joke. Ledley King, I mean, he doesn't look the sharpest tool in the box at the best of time. It was pictured coming out of nightclubs all over the shop, and this is a guy who's got genuine health and fitness problems.
That's the thing. I mean, again, when going back to, say, the Arsenal mentality, which is that obviously Wenger's instilled into all the players about the way to basically keep themselves so that they really do achieve the best that they can, like in terms of their profession. You kind of think that some of those players, using Ledley King as an example, you don't know, like obviously the way that he's been brought up through the youth ranks at Spurs, whether that mentality has been instilled into him. And really, when you see someone that's basically paralytic, like you said, for a week after the Carling Cup final, it doesn't really bode well, especially if you're a Spurs supporter. You're going to look at that and think, okay, great, we did win something. But the fact is that after that, I mean, I think I heard the other day that actually, have they not won a game, Spurs, or since?
They've won. They have won 5 games in the calendar year.
Yeah.
What are we? Beginning of November almost. They've won 5 games in the calendar year. And anyone out there, any Spurs fans out there, including Joe, the producer upstairs, listen to this, Joe. I kid you not. Tottenham, 2 games, 2 points in their 8 games. They've got next 3 teams up: Liverpool, Arsenal, Bolton. So, which of those 3 games do you think they'll have the best shot of winning?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah?
They're going to win at the Emirates.
Yeah, well,
I was going to say
that's what's
written in the stars.
But most people probably obviously would say Bolton. Let me tell you what Tottenham's record is against Bolton since 2003 in the Premier League. They've played 11, won 2, drawn 2 and lost 7. So Bolton, I mean, the record against Bolton is probably equally as bad as it is against Liverpool and Spurs. I mean, Liverpool and Arsenal. Then they got a league win against Arsenal in the last couple of seasons. Was it just cup victories they had against them?
Yeah, it was the cup victory last year, but it's a very long time since they beat us in the league.
They had a couple of draws. I think they drew at Highbury in the last North London derby at Highbury, didn't they? They drew 1 each, I think. Was it 1 each? Yeah.
Well, they drew.
In the last North London derby at Highbury, yeah.
Yeah. They did.
Yeah, I think was it 2001 that Spurs beat Arsenal? That was the last. Was it? Or so I remember. Did Keown get sent off? I can't remember. It was around 2000, 2001.
A long time ago, and it'll be fascinating to see. It would be ironic, wouldn't it, if after that League Cup victory, which was sensational, albeit against probably an Arsenal second-string team last season, if they can repeat the dose and stay why they done his job at the time. Goodness gracious me, it might not even be a factor if they lose on Sunday. Something has got to give at Tottenham, surely. Let's move away from Spurs. Now, a lot of the time we get fans in the FanXchange, and you can tell football is the be-all and end-all for them. Nothing wrong with that at all. But you guys have obviously all got different interests. We've touched with you, Adam, haven't we, with the acting?
You've touched me
You're
in
an
many ways.
actor. That was the green room earlier. You missed that one. Luckily, no hidden cameras in the green room. Martha, your interests outside of football? Dolls, that kind of stuff? No.
No, I do. Well, obviously my course, journalism course, and I joined a kayaking club about 10 months back, and that's been really good. So done some really good stuff with that.
So both you and Spurs occasionally up the creek without a paddle. Literally, kayaking.
Yep.
Is that, what's, of course, there has been a kayak and a canoe.
Canoes are open and kayaks are closed. So you've got, like,
that's Hawaii 5-0's kayaking, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Hawaii 5-0 kayaking, isn't it? No? Is it when we kneel down, isn't it, in the kayak?
No, there are certain types of boats where you do kneel down, but most of the time you kind of sit in them, and you have like a spray deck which goes over the hole in the top of the boat.
So varied interest. We've got actors, we've got kayakers. 2012, we think in 2012, Martha, possibly?
No, nothing like it.
What about yourself, Alex?
Well, in my free time, really everything is devoted towards football, whether it be playing football, watching football, fantasy football, everything.
Are you a fantasy football man?
To be honest, I am. Last season didn't do so well, but this season I'm starting to do better.
Do you actually apply? Do you actually apply some science to it? Are you one of those people that sits down? Like...
Unfortunately, I do. I don't want to admit that on air, but yeah, it's a good 2 hours on a Friday night, sometimes at work. If anyone at work's watching, don't mention it. But yeah, the thing is, it's one of those things. You look at, say, the defenders and midfielders, and you think, okay, do any of them take penalties, free kicks? And you're looking for basically the dead certs, the things that are going to happen in a game. Obviously, you don't want players that are regularly sent off, booked, those sort of things. So, like, I always think, like, stay well clear of Jermaine Jenas. He seems to get booked quite regularly.
Jermaine Jenas.
Yeah.
Fantasy football? No, you're not a fantasy football fan, are you, Martha?
I did it last 2 seasons. I don't have a team this season.
It's a phenomenon. I remember the Daily Telegraph, I think, were the first paper to do it on a massive scale. Everyone does it now. Has big money up for grabs, and there's someone. I wouldn't have you down as a fantasy football man, Adam.
No, I'd be terrible.
Yes.
Well, I just don't have the time either. But this respect campaign.
Go on, listen, I love this. You're taking the mantle.
Well,
you're moving it swiftly on. You don't know the direction the show's going in. You're saying, no, I'm not having that. I'm going to start talking about the respect campaign. And this is to do with the referees, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's the other thing that's been on my mind.
For a second.
Jesus Christ Almighty! The lunatics are running the asylum.
Who's the guy
We
in the
thought it
pink
was
tie?
mental last
Who's the
weekend.
guy with the pink tie? What's he doing here?
Come on.
It's just it's so difficult to get across in football. I think so, and
Well, football is it's a mentality. I mean, if you go to a football ground, a player goes over to take a corner, and you get men, probably civil servants, barristers, some of them, probably all got respectable jobs, calling them every name under the sun, you wanker this, standing next to the kids doing it. I mean, it's disgraceful.
yeah. But it's Barnes made a really good point at the Times. He said that racism is unacceptable completely.
Yeah.
But you can call them everything else. You know, there's homophobia and other types of like religious racism, as opposed to just exactly. And that's all just sort of like was not swept under the carpet, but people turn a blind eye to it. And obviously, this whole campaign about racism out of football, kick risk, is brilliant, but it's got to keep
I'll tell you what's
going.
interesting though, because you talk to any footballer about this, and I've done it numerous times. No footballer will believe, despite the fact that companies like Adidas and Nike pay footballers millions of pounds a year to wear their boots, so that the kids in the park will think, I've got to have those boots to go and play from young age. Footballers do not believe that people copy them on Hackney Marshes on a Sunday. You tell a footballer, well, listen, you can't start swearing at referees, and you can't start not retreating, and you can't start arguing. They don't believe, despite all the evidence of the contrary, you will not find a footballer that believes that people copy them on the Sunday at Hackney Marshes. And I think it's absolute nonsense.
The referee has to have the final say. You can argue for video footage and that's goal line technology, which probably would be a good idea, but the fact is you don't get this barracking of the referee in any other sport, and it just has to stop. It just has to stop. It's endemic in society, this whole lack of respect.
If they got most of the decisions right, then that wouldn't stop. But I just think at the moment, you look at I mean, like I said, we'll use the